season over?
Well, it's hard to pack so many classic category ones for me into one game, but we can go through the list. First one, defense was cooked. Now, that was a kind of shared belief. I know there were some people that thought, oh, no, they figured something out against the Vikings. No, they didn't. The defense was beyond repair to win a Super Bowl. I don't think the defense was beyond repair to win this game.
Yeah.
So there's one. Second one is this. Hey, crazy idea, but maybe when you get a head coaching job, Ben Johnson, save some of the really cool special plays for the playoff game, like the pretend fumble we've never seen at wide open touchdown.
Specific.
I don't buy that it was Bears specific. I know they said that. That way you're not having one of the goofiest players in the league who just had an X-rated end zone celebration 30 minutes prior, throwing the biggest pass of your season. Just an idea that maybe if you had a few more that you hadn't shown yet.
That was a terrible.
I mean, it was just terrible. And by the way, the game, it's a 10-point game. You have the ball and you're scoring every time. You're in it. And then last but not least, who all wants one?
Okay.
Coach, do you want one?
No, just.
We should just. Brew, do you want one?
I'll pass.
Wilds?
No.
I mean, Wilds. That first fumble, how big was it? Did it seem like you lost the grip on the ball? Yeah. The overthrow in the end zone, the pick six, I don't know, guys. But there's now one quarterback who this year had multiple 4 turnover games. And I'm not here to say I told you so, but I don't know. Hard to win that way. And so, now listen, I'm sure the smartest people on football Twitter are going to say, actually, when you look at his overall EPA per play, he played well. But I just think the 4 turnovers are probably disqualifying.
Okay. It was so much more than just that. And to act like you can now do a victory lap when you said that the Commanders were going to lose, the Lions were going to win, I just don't know. And to think that Ben Johnson, the reason why, and it was a terrible trick play call. I said that from the jump. I live streamed this game, and I was like, it's so dumb to do a trick play there. You have a wide receiver making that throw. Like, it makes no sense. And it's only a 10-point game. You're there. Have Jared Goff be there. He's your quarterback. It's not because they used all their trick plays up. That is a made-up take there. That is a made-up take. That they used up all their trick plays, and that's why they had that play. No, that was the play that Ben Johnson thought that was the best play. It was the wrong play, and it was the wrong thing. And no, it wasn't just because their defense was cooked. They turned the ball over. What was it? 5 turnovers total? I forget now at this point. I had it written down somewhere. You're giving extra possessions. I mean, that's going to help, give up points, obviously. I mean, this was a losing team effort. Did Jared Goff play a great game? Because that final interception, you can't really count that. That was just kind of like, hey, we got to go for it all. So I count 2 interceptions. The fumble was a tough one, for sure. Lamar Jackson fumbled the ball too. Just saying. So did Jalen Hurts. So did Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford fumbled the ball. Matthew Stafford almost threw like 5 interceptions. Seriously. The dude had turnover-worthy play after turnover-worthy play. I get it. Snow, all that. I get it. My point is that these things can happen. And you just can't put all the blame on Goff. Did he need to play better? Absolutely. The one interception was just a bad throw. It just got away from him. It wasn't like a bad decision necessarily, but it just happens. Quarterbacks make bad throws. It's a bummer. But it's just a thing that happens. Steph Curry airballs. It just happens, and it's bad when it happens in that type of moment. And then the one interception that was in the end zone, that's a rough one. Again, I don't know if Jared Goff was being too aggressive, if Ben Johnson was being too aggressive, if the defense just made a great play. I think maybe a combination of all 3. Yeah, and you put that all together, now you're going up against Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. And I said this, we are watching Jaden Daniels play. This is Mahomes' rookie year. That's what this is. That's who the Lions lost to. Patrick Mahomes' rookie year. They didn't lose to just some scrub team, some scrub quarterback. They didn't lose to Gardner Minshew and the Indianapolis Colts. Daniel Jones and the New York Giants. They just lost to the quarterback who everybody is going to talk about, how he is a top 3 quarterback. They are going to talk about that for a minimum the next 5 years, 5, 6, 7 years. That's who the Lions lost to. And it is a tough loss. But yet they were still in it. Even with those turnovers, they were still in it. Then this game was mismanaged. That's why I blame coaching. I mean, to be clear, I blame lots of things. My sole blame is not just on coaching, because there is. It's coming from so many different angles. But in this game, you don't get to do a victory lap being like, I told you they ran out of plays, or I told you the defense was cooked, and I told you Jared Goff isn't good enough. Because that wasn't the story of this game. Did it contribute to it? Sure. But again, it's a made-up take about Ben Johnson, that he just ran out of plays. The Lions never could play high-level situational football without these big box office plays, whether they're trick plays or home run shots. And I called that out. I called that out when they played the Arizona Cardinals, and when they played the Seattle Seahawks, and when they played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I remember very vividly, because I took true heat from the Detroit Lions fan base. And I said, guys, I believe in this team. I believe in how special this team is. But you can't constantly rely on trick plays and big-time box office plays. You just can't. That's how they would have won this game. I mean, Gibbs had the ball. What, he had 14 carries? That's indefensible. That's indefensible to me. Gibbs was feasting. 7.5 yards per attempt per carry. 2 touchdowns. 14 carries. That's it. That's not enough. That is not enough for the guy that was unstoppable. I mean, he was unstoppable. And he had 6 receptions for 70 yards. I mean, this should have been a game where he touched the ball 30 times. It just should have been. It just should have been. I made the same argument for Derrick Henry. Rely on your beasts. Rely on running the ball. How did the Eagles win? Saquon Barkley had over 200 yards. And it's not because of the score. Don't give me the score. It was a 10-point game. So just stop. It wasn't because they went down because of the turnover, because of this. No, it's because they just constantly wanted to be too aggressive. Never any of these nice, easy, short passes. Josh Allen won the playoff game. I think he had 4 passes over 10 yards or something like that. And yeah, the weather was worse. I get it. But still, it's still winning football. They just constantly just want to go for home run shot, home run shot, home run shot. Again, having Jameson Williams, pass that ball, I mean, that's insane. And again, Tom Brady said it best, like, you're asking this wide receiver to make an amazing throw that, like, quarterbacks can't even make. And then you're asking him to read a defense. It's a 10-point game. That's indefensible. That is indefensible. So this is a hard one. This is a hard one. I mean, heck, you had Jameson Williams, the one, pseudo trick. I mean, those are trick plays, but like these days, the way how we see trick plays, like, is that even a trick play anymore? That seems almost like a standard play. Once upon a time, it was probably a trick play, but I feel like in 2025, it's not a trick play. And he was able to take it to the house. And those are nice conservative plays. That's like aggressive conservative. That's like, we are going to be smart. We are going to aggressively use our high IQ in preparation, but the risk is minimal. They kept going for high risk, high reward plays. And you didn't need to do that. You didn't. I mean, the Washington Commanders were 4 for 12 on third down. That's not insane. But the Lions were 3 for 9. And the Commanders were 3 for 4 on fourth down. But then you can even see the yards, the total yards. 521, the Commanders 481. Yards per play, 7.7 for the Lions, 6.6 for the Commanders. 320 for the Lions. No, for passing, 320 for the Lions, 299 for the Commanders. But the 5 turnovers is, that's a rough one. We'll give it 4, like Dan Campbell said. This was collectively a team loss. The game plan, I personally just disagree with how they kind of went about it. And maybe not even so much the game plan, but the management of the game as it was unfolding. This was a game. The Commanders put up 45, and the Lions put up 31. This was a game that the Lions needed to show their superpowers. This was a game that the Lions, their superpower is their offense, and their offense came up short. Their offense only put up 31. Their offense needed to show up, and it fundamentally did not. And yes, Jared Goff deserves some of that blame, but so does Ben Johnson. He managed that game within the game poorly. Gibbs himself should have had the ball handed off to him at least 20 times. The dude was a monster. Like, what are we doing? Saquon Barkley, 26 carries, 205 yards, 7.9 yards, 2 touchdowns. Sometimes just handing the ball off makes sense. They were pretty much roughly averaging the same amount of yards per carry. Gibbs could have had a 200-yard game just by handing the ball off. These things matter. These things change the game. These things also keep the ball out of Jaden Daniels' hands. Jaden Daniels is the type of offensive player that you have to keep him on the bench, just like everybody wants to do with Mahomes, just like everybody wants to do with Lamar, just like everybody wants to do with Josh Allen. If you didn't know that going into this game, that's on you. That's on you. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Detroit Lions? What's the biggest reason they lost? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.